Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Pro Trade Room Plus. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Pro Trade Room Plus. NFP unemployment claims, U.S. jobs report. My name is Lee Goldstein, the trading director at 10 Minute Trades. Please remember, I'm not a financial advisor. It is possible to lose money trading futures, so please trade carefully. And let's get started. All right. Good morning, everyone. So I don't have to just give everyone a heads up that this is extreme risk this morning. So there are quite a few different elements going on that make this event riskier than it normally is. Number one, it's on a Thursday. It's never on a Thursday. Never. Number two, it is combined with trade balance, which is not as big a deal as unemployment claims, Thursday jobless numbers. I don't recall any case ever that we've had these reports trading together. I don't think there's going to be any, I don't think there's going to be much attention initially, however, other than the U.S. jobs report, NFP, is what will initially drive the market. At the moment, the markets are in a pretty tight range. If you look at, let's look at the ES for a minute. If you look at a 15-minute chart on the ES, you can see it's been in a pretty tight range from last night. The markets, I believe, they're waiting for this news. And there's also ISM services news later in the morning, which probably will be less vicious than it was last month. And, a lot of people are leaving for vacation, for the holiday. The volume will probably be lower than normal. So this is the main event for the day. There's no question. This is the main event. This is what the markets are waiting for this week, and it will move the market. That's definite. We never know how the market's going to move. There's no way to know. Just looking at gold on a 15-minute chart, gold definitely more volatile because it's very subject to any simple little comment that anybody makes in the news. So gold definitely more volatile since yesterday. But even still, um, a relatively tight range at the moment. So I just want to stress, if you have to be prepared to take responsibility for this trade, and it is high risk. So we have three possible setups, two that we've been trading over and over again over the years that are good, solid setups for this report. Bonds and gold. Gold is always risky, but it has some great trades. Now, I was really seriously thinking of removing the family money trade moniker from these trades. Um, and I want to comment on that. Sometimes, and I've explained this many times in the room, sometimes a trade gets a family money trade label because the opportunity for profit is very big. That's where this trade fits in. But I've said over and over, the risk is high, and you might want to, you can trade the lower risk setup, which would be the MES on this report. If you're going to trade gold, that's the highest risk report, in my opinion, on this event. Now, you notice too that gold has a 100 tick stop. That's $1,000 per contract. You can, if you trade in a prop account with two contracts and you get stopped out, that prop account is gone. It will blow it up. Okay? So if your prop account is on the verge of passing, it's an eval, and you're on the verge of passing, you really have to think carefully as to whether or not this is the right report to trade. I'm telling you up front, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just telling you that the reason gold has a 100 tick stop is because there have been a couple of times where that large of a stop would have saved a stop out from occurring. So you could trade micros as well if you want to on gold, and you can reduce the stop to 50 if you want to as well. That stop most of the time is a acceptably sized stop. Which setup will be a winner? So I'm going to personally guarantee that is this perfect setup. So you look at the DMM, and the pattern with gold is a little bit worrisome, right? You have two winners, two losers, two winners. Are we now expecting a loser because we have a small 6 month pattern? Uh, that I don't think that is all that meaningful of a pattern. Okay, if it was five winners in a row, then that's a different kind of a pattern. Two, two, and two. It's almost a little bit random, if you know what I mean. That's not a pattern I would hang my hat on. The MES setup, let's set that one up first. And it is an ES setup as well, but most people can't um, trade this in a cash account because of margin. The brokers unequivocally raise margin on this report, so you need much more cash in a cash account to trade. The margin is higher. Um, so you have to keep that in mind. Calvin, what do you mean you hate Windows Thursday updates? What do you mean? Windows Thursday updates. So the MES, the ES just did a magnet, or it didn't really do the magnet. It's close, but it's enough ticks away that it didn't actually test. 8450. 85, well, it is two ticks away. That is a test of the high. So the ES just did a magnet there. MES 0925. Oh, it's interesting, Calvin, that you're saying you got a Windows update today. I did not. I have not seen a Windows update come through today. All right, so first things first. MES, right click the chart, click strategies, click 10-minute news trader. It is a breakout, 829.59. The bracket is 30. And we've got targets anywhere between 10 and 40 are acceptable targets. And then target one stop move. If you feel you like to move your stop to safety, if target one gets hit, it will move your stop. BE is break even. -5 means it'll move it 5 ticks before entry. And then the stop on micros is 50. That's the MES. That's the MES setup, labeling it BRK MES. BRK MES. Gonna set my time just for a moment to 0. I'm on sim in the account at the moment. I'm putting my chart trader on sim. I just want to see the management of the bracket for the trade. See how wide the brackets are. That's too wide. I want them manageable for the trade. So that's a good manageable bracket. So now I'm going to go back to strategy and put the time back to 8:29, 8:29:59. And then I'll trade this in my $1,500 prop account. BRK MES. Okay? Apply it, okay it, put chart trader on the correct account and enable it. Right? Now also set up a after the news MES reverse continuation. So I'll add a second strategy to the chart, change the breakout to a reverse continuation, and I think I'll just leave it the way it is, 15 and 40 on the targets, a stop of 40, break even if it hits the first target, BE, target 1 stop move. This is a discretionary MES trade only for after the news if we feel there's an opportunity to take the MES after the news. So we'll label that MES reverse continue. Same account. I wouldn't trade it till the breakout is over. Apply it and OK it. So we have that set up. I also absolutely want to watch bonds on this report. We do have a bond set up. ZF 0925. Now I'm not trading bonds. I'm just going to watch them on a 1-minute chart. And our strategy for bonds is a breakout 8:29:58 is trigger time. The bracket is 8. Targets 7 and 15. And I will do the break even -3. The stop is 15. Like I said, I'm just going to sim the bonds just to see their behavior. I'll label that bonds, okay? And I'll set the time to 0 so we can make sure we don't have to pay attention to that setup. It'll just pretty much run itself. When you enable a trade with 0 time, once there's price movement, you see your brackets. That's what I'm interested in, seeing the brackets. I think I'll turn off the line strategy, the vertical line. Show vertical line on entry under optional. I'm turning it off. Apply the change and OK it. Because watch, now when I get my brackets, the line isn't in the way. It's a lot easier to see. It's just a little bit cleaner for bonds. So now I'll just go back, put the time back to 8:29:58. Now, we've also in the past had NQ and MNQ setups on this report. Um, an 80, an 80 bracket is what we've used. 80 bracket is what we've used on the NQ or the MNQ. It's under optional, Charles. It's under optional. And it says vertical line. You can check it or uncheck it. Just scroll down to optional. Yes, the time should have been 8:29:59. If you do 8:59 on the ES setup, you won't trigger your trade until it's long over. It should be 8:29 on the trigger time on the MES. So everybody, let me clarify that. The time of the trade, the breakout on the MES, because I did make a mistake on the DMM. 8:29:59, not 59. I'm the intern. I did that. That's my mistake. I missed it. My mistake. Sometimes I'll tell you why it happens. If I paste a different trade mini DMM in and that's how I miss it. I pasted in a different timed event and just missed it. That's what happened. And I do it all the time. I mean, it's just a very common mistake, easy to make. It's my fault. Okay. 8:29:59 on that trigger. And then we have gold. Now, I like trading gold on this report, but I know that it is a difficult instrument to trade. And it's really been bonds that we considered the family money trade on this report because there's too much risk with gold. And that's what you have to keep in mind. The risk with gold today, if you use the DMM exactly as stated in a prop account, the risk is blowing up the account because 2 contracts and getting stopped is $2,000 of loss. So and there's a ton of slippage. Actually, as Charles says, it always has lots of slippage. But when it wins, it's a huge winner. It usually goes 100 ticks, 80 ticks, 60 ticks. So my prop account is $39 to reset it. If it wins, I'm going to pass. If I lose, I'm going to reset it. So I'm willing to take that risk. I just am. I'm willing to take, or I might not. No, you know what? I don't have to risk my best prop account on this trade. I can risk a pretty new one so that if it doesn't work, it's not even a lot of effort that has been put to waste. So that's the approach I'll take. I'm trading 2 gold contracts. You can trade one to reduce your risk. It's a breakout, 8:29:59. The bracket is 30. The regular setup is targets anywhere between 50 and 70, I think is within reason. I would use stop to break even if it hits my first target 1 stop move. And I will use the 100 tick stop. I will use the 100 tick stop. Charles, they charge the account I have is $39 for a reset. Why are you saying that's overcharging? What do you have but who do you use that's better? Tell us. 8:29:59. Yeah, it's $39. $39. It's very fair. Here's the gold setup. 8:29:59. Bracket of 30. Targets anywhere between 50 and 70. 15 and 70. Stop is 100, and that's where the risk comes in. That's the way I am going to trade it. Breakout GC. I know the risk I'm taking on this report. And it's a scary report. There's no question. Now, I'll tell you what might be an interesting way to try and make gold a tiny bit safer, a slightly bigger bracket. There's plenty of profit if the trade works. There's plenty of profit if the trade works. With all these extra reports, there could be some extra volatility. You could use a 40 bracket. I wouldn't try to talk anyone out of a 40 bracket. I don't think that would be a terrible decision at all. But I'm going to stick with the norm today. I'm going to go with the norm. Let's look at our brackets are good. Right click back to 829.59. Position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1. Simply means I've got one contract for each target. Anywhere between 15 and 70 on your targets. I'm using a stop of 100. If you wanted to trade just one position on gold, you could go for like a 40 or 50 tick target. Position size 1 would be a 1. Position size 2 would be a 0. If the market moves 30 ticks, move your stop to break even plus 20. Right above. So you have under trading down at the bottom of the item area. If the market moves 8 ticks, X ticks, if you are a 40 or 50 tick target, right? If the market moves 30 ticks, let's say, move your stop to break even plus 20. That way, if the trade reverses before it gets to your target but moves in your direction, you could try to protect some of that profit so that if it does change direction and goes to try and stop you out, your stop is moved into an area of profit. So that's not a terrible way to trade one contract to cut your risk in half on this event. Okay? If market moves X ticks, and that X could be 30, move stop to break even X ticks, and that could be 20 to 23 ticks, and you would protect some profit. I'm pretty much just going to trade, take the account risk. Account number 12, it's a little bit up since we just got this account. It's pretty new. Breakout gold. Make sure time is back to normal. Apply it and OK it. Chart trader goes on 12. And then, hey, look, what if we have a situation the trade doesn't fill? Things happen. We could get no response to the news. I mean, it's highly unlikely. I don't think that'll happen. But let's say we get a breakout and we get a small profit and the trade ends. I'd still like to have a second setup for a possible gold discretionary scalp. So I'll add a second gold reverse continue strategy, just one position, 40 tick target, 30 tick stop. Let's say a 40 tick stops, just a scalp. It's a big scalp. All right. One position, 40 target, 40 stop, just a reverse continuation on GC, labeling it. Same account as the breakout because I'd only use it. I won't be able to use it if we have a full stop because that will blast the account. But it gives me the opportunity for two possible discretionary trades. ES, MES, I should say, and or gold. Okay? And I do want to thank, we have a whole bunch of folks watching us on YouTube. Everyone's getting ready for the holiday. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button, hit the notification bell. We streamed 3 times this week, maybe 4 this week, I think. So I could show you trades that took place, but we're pretty close to the trade already. So I'm just going to watch the market. When you look at the DMM, we've had 2 winners in a row on gold. We had 2 losers before that. One of them, a 100 tick stop, would have saved. And then we had 2 winners prior to that. If we get a breakout for all, everything generally moves in one direction. Breakout for all is what we call it when a report bursts in one direction, initially quite large, allowing profits on a breakout trade. Yeah, it can't fit everything. I can't fit everything on the YouTube stream because of the resolution issue right now. So I'm showing so that people could see what happens in the trade. But thank you, I understand. I'm struggling with resolution in general because I know the charts are very small for everyone in the room. But the issue is this: if I don't use high resolution, I can't add this chart, these extra charts, and show the news. And the issue right now is currently the trade room software isn't supporting high enough res. Hoping that that's coming in a very soon update. So MES is still not a cheap risk because it is a 50 tick stop, okay? But it shouldn't blow up an account. Now, we didn't talk about, we're assuming we're going to get proper data feed behavior. Sometimes in these breakouts, we don't always get our best data feed behavior. So, optimistic that everything works beautifully. It has been working pretty well on the jobs report. I am posting a link for our webinar today with Rightline at noon. You don't have to pay attention to that now. We do have a noon webinar. So we have 45 seconds. Bonds I'm not going to touch. I'll just pretty much let that trade manage itself. MES is in my mini prop account. It pretty much can manage itself also. And then gold is always the most nerve-wracking of them all because gold moves wild on this report. Okay, here's our brackets. Okay, we did get frozen. We did get frozen. We got a breakout for all, but gold pulled back and just hit my first target. Pulled back, hit the first target. Trying to analyze the news. It's impossible to analyze the news in 1 second. It's a very positive jobs report. Very positive. 147K over 111. Bonds looked like they had maybe the best move of anything. My mini MES trade hit both targets and was a winner. So now I just want to get reports from people what happened to you. I'm turning off my breakouts. Any breakouts, I'm unchecking. They're over. Breakouts are being unchecked. Both breakouts worked. Looks to me like gold wants to continue down, but I would just be careful. We had a pretty big move. Had you not moved your stop in gold, it would have been a bigger winner. But because I moved my stop to safety, it backed up just enough to clip my stop. MES was a nice winner, and I think anyone that trade bonds also had a nice, looks like bonds immediately hit all the targets right away. The question is gold a continuous short here? It already made the low. There's always extra risk when you try to trade right at the lows. Now it's pulled off a bit. It's pulled off a bit. So I've made money in two accounts. I think what I'm going to do now is wait for ISM. All right. I'm not jumping into a second trade other than it looks like the market likes this news. The ES is up. I'm assuming the NQ is way up. I'm turning off my secondary trade. I'm tempted to take a short in gold. Very tempted. But I'm not going to. Taking a little scalp in gold. I'll probably jump out of it pretty quick. Give me a couple of bucks. Okay, made about $100 on a gold scalp right there. Okay, so I'm done for the moment. I had an $80 profit. Now I'm up to 190. Made $110 on that quick scalp. I love these reverse continuations. If you take a trade and you finish the trade, uncheck the check and recheck it. I like to just reset the trade by unchecking it and rechecking it, okay? I am going to change my chart. Looking at the NQ, I'm guessing everything's going to be a breakout for all this morning because we had a breakout for all. Yes, I would expect that every instrument had a big breakout. That's what we can expect. NQ, big burst up. ES, big burst up. We had a little baby two contract MES low risk trade that made a profit, nice little profit in our mini account. Um, Roz, I think what we were, it looked like on our end that there was data, frozen data. So I had frozen data. What you experienced, even in cash, was frozen data because of the speed of the move. Speed of the move. It was so fast. I'll show the video and you can see how fast this move was. So being experienced like you are, fortunately, you were able to respond and get out with a profit. Okay. But it is frustrating when the data freezes and you can't do anything about it till it unfreezes. Let's look at the video because you'll see that my gold trade froze. And then maybe that hurt the fact that our stop was close. Maybe if it didn't freeze, we might have had a better profit. It's possible. The markets love this news. They're going up. They're going up. So, people that are trading discretionary, probably the markets are not terrible for scalps, right? You got to be careful though. Let me thank everybody that watched us on YouTube. Thanks, YouTube. We had a great trade this morning. Took the risk, and it worked out So we were very clear on what the risk was, and that's part of the game. Know what the risk is, so at least when you take a trade, you know what to expect. Thanks everybody on YouTube for joining us. Have a great holiday, and I'll see everybody on YouTube next.